Here's Gael Serre from Decathlon's core, turning data into a winning score. With 9 years of experience, she's built every part, crafting data products with a teammate's heart. From data as a product to game-changing plays, she's training teams in impactful ways, with DB and strategies and tactics to share. Gael's here to coach us on data's new frontier.
Thank you so much.
Let's go, Gael.
Yes, thanks. Welcome, everyone. I would like to say a small thank you to the organizer that is hiding here. François, Johan, thank you so much for the opportunity. I would like also to thank all of you for the moment we are going to spend together. So I hope that you can be inspired by our discussion today, and I hope that you will have questions as well. So I'm Gael, I'm working in Decathlon, and actually today is my 10th year's anniversary of working in the IT. So yeah, so quite a celebration. 10 years in which I have been crafting products, crafting data products, crafting also product management teams, processes, and data product management teams. And that's the topic we chose with Johan today. Basically, the discussion we are going to have is around this role that is sometimes not well understood, most of the time doesn't exist yet in an organization. And I would try to bring some of my return on experience in Decathlon, but not only, to provide you with some ideas of what you could do if you could bring that to the future of your own organization. So my objective is really for you to have some keys to implement this role in the future on your side. So I'm going to spend a bit of time on the context. The first context I would like to present is more the journey that led me to Decathlon. So I started initially as an economist, then the crisis struck. So I end up data analyst in the finance world, especially in Bloomberg. So then after that, I started working as a project manager, we called it at the time, in a trading company, well, actually an exchange company. And so this company taught me a lot about data product management, even though at the time we didn't call it that way. So basically, our product was a financial contract, which has a price, a quantity, and some contract specification. And my role in the organization was to implement this contract within a value chain, a data value chain that was 5 different companies. So basically, our operation was really implementing the contract so the traders can trade, and then streamlining all the data within all the organization in the best possible way. And then my role was really to show how those organizations could impact their operational processes with the contract I proposed. So in an example, a clearing house is not going to be able to clear a spot contract in comparison to a future contract, for example. So my role was actually doing data as a product and federated governance, or at least decentralized governance. So it taught me really a lot in this really data-centric organization. So then I moved to a less data-centric organization, and especially to the industry sector, who doesn't have the heart of their business based on data. And so I tried to bring what I learned from finance to those sectors, and this is what we are going to discuss. I entered in Decathlon in order to do that. So basically the idea was to implement the data as a product approach within Decathlon's team, and especially within the core data team that are responsible for the data patrimony in the data lake. So our team in Decathlon is managing core aggregated data, but it's also accompanying sources to create source data products and accompanying customer to create consumer line data product that may or may not use AI, and they'll be distributed by dashboards or APIs, for example. So one thing that I would like to add in terms of context as well is the fact that the data product manager role is sometimes a bit complex to understand because the daily job is really different depending on the maturity of your organization. So here I use a matrix of two different axes. The first one being the end user's maturity and the other one being the organizational maturity, especially the capacity of the organization to create transversal projects and to lead them. So, for example, if I take a very mature organization but less mature end user, then the daily job of a data product manager would be the digitalization of the processes of the business, basically. So sitting at the business desk, helping digitalize their processes, proof of concept, and then industrialization. On the other hand, if you have end users that are really mature, what you are going to do is more industrialize the business use cases that most of the time are already implemented in Excel, for example. So in that case, you would be more participating to the data governance and the data platform transversal transformation. And the last case, which is a case that we are really used to, especially in the industry sector, would be very low maturity in terms of organization and end users. And in that case, your role as a data product manager will be first to break the silo between data, business, and applications and try to deliver simple use cases, basically. So this is a context that was quite important for me. So my return on experience would be based a lot on what we have done in Decathlon. So let's play. So first thing I would like to highlight is that, as in the film Back to the Future, there is something very important is that we need to have a vision of what we want in terms of role, but there is no single path to achieve it, especially because it depends on the maturity. So the data product manager would be really an explorer of your organizational capacity to do transversal alignment, basically. So maybe it's going to work very well. Maybe it's going to need to start from the basics, meaning unified language. Maybe it's going to take only the creation of agile processes, or maybe it's going to take the involvement of the executive committee so we can have shared goals within the organization. So they will be in this discussion, not a single path to go there, but really what I want to show you today is the vision we implemented and we are trying to achieve within Decathlon overall. So one thing that could be done if you are starting and if you are really starting out of nowhere would be to try to find the people who are already trying to do transversal roles. So they could be coaches, they could be customer support. Those people already have struggles, and it's quite interesting to try to team up with them and understand what are their struggles within the organization already. So in addition to this complexity, that was quite complex enough, we really have to take into consideration that your data product manager will have to explore the whole iceberg of data. So we will have to work on the tip of the iceberg, visualization, dashboarding, self-service, this kind of things, but also on the bottom of the iceberg. So, for example, in an organization that has 3 data platforms, for sure there will be some work of data management, some work of data strategy, and some work of data architecture involved. This means that it can be quite overwhelming to start from scratch. And this means that as a company who wants to start data product management, you should really invest in a first product manager that is very, very senior. So this is really important. So the first person that you hire is going to be the lead climber for all of your product manager to be able to follow their first path. So this is really one point that I want to make, is that don't expect junior people to this role to be able to do it in a very smooth and streamlined way. try to invest as much as possible in the role as first PM, which is very important. So what can we focus on at the beginning? So I'm going to say something very boring here because we talk about product. So focus on your users, so all of your teammates. That is quite important. You cannot say that you are only serving analytics engineer or data analyst. As a data PM, you're really serving all of your organization. So in order to start in an organization of 100,000 people, such as Decathlon, there are two things we can do to make it easier or simpler. The first thing would be to map all the macro processes of the organization in a very high-level way, understand which one are required to be improved because they are siloed, for example, understand their criticality as well. Then the second thing that we can do, if you cannot do a data maturity assessment that is deep and really takes a lot of time, is to think about the general data conscience of your team, and especially do your users understand the operational impact of their data? Are they able to test, which is really not that easy actually? And then is your team sharing the understanding of the user? So by knowing that, you can already assess in a very simple framework, are you going to spend a lot of time on literacy and acculturation? Or do you have already a rockstar team that you can build with very easily? Then, in addition with the focus, I would like to really clarify that the role of data product management needs a specific mindset, that is data as a product, which is really a craft that needs, in addition to user centricity, really a strong desire to share knowledge within the organization. Usually when you start, the first data discovery that you do is the first one in the company. So for example, when I worked in Kering, we were the first project doing data discovery in a very open way, saying we are going to construct deliverables, and at the end of the day, those deliverables will be shared to the organization to improve transversality. And this is something that sometimes, well, when I arrived in Decathlon as well, everyone told me, now how do we deliver tables? So here we are not delivering tables, but we are creating the transversal information that is the core asset of the company. In addition to that, the team needs to have a very strong sustainable vision, being able to really understand from a long-term perspective where they want to come and when they want to go. And at the end, fostering transversal accountability, so the capacity to lead, especially sources, to understand your perspective and advance with you on that exercise. So, in terms of responsibility, one that I would like to share is the most common, let's say, the one that most people know. It's really the role of the data product manager to implement your data strategy, so the evolution of your legacy towards the future, basically. So your design is coherent with the operational reality, which means that, for example, your data PM is not changing numbers within the platform because it doesn't really match the analytics expectation, let's say. So they work with the source, then creating a roadmap, and then at the end, creating a run that is end-to-end. So really understanding from the criticality of your process, the need to introduce and test from the source to the dashboard, basically. So you're not only focusing on your core, but you are really focusing on the transversal process. And then the next step, and so I chose an image that shows a bit the struggle, which is the implementation of your data management strategy. So as a data product manager, if you take shortcuts, you should be able to transparently share it to your governance team in particular, and then trying to understand the shortcomings that come with them. And this is really important because sometimes it's not well understood by data product manager. They have a strong responsibility in governance, in the operationalization of governance, lifecycle management, and foundational activities such as data quality, for example. Then one thing, so now that you have the focus, the mindset, the deliverables, if you want your team to scale, you need to integrate them in the processes. And they are themselves the users of transversal processes. So your processes, your policies must be user-driven. This is really important. And you must do within your organization everything as a product. And this is something that sometimes causes a bit of debates within the executive committee. Once you try to do data as a product, you are going to ask your team to deliver transversal processes. Transversal processes needs change. So if you're not ready for a change, just do everything as a project, and you are not having so much trouble into changing your organization. So doing everything as a product is really a mindset. So you can do organization as a product, you can do process as a product. As myself, when I bought my apartment, I did all my furniture as a product. So initially my desk was just a table, then it improved a bit into a table bought in Le Bon Coin, and then at the end of the day, after understanding my own user journey within my apartment, I chose a standing desk. So it's just a mindset that you need to have within the company. So you need really to understand that this will be necessary to scale. So in terms of recruitment, what does it mean? Typically, we see 3 profiles: data analysts, product managers, or functional experts. One thing that I see on all of them that works quite well is the capacity to learn from each other and the growth, the need and the ambition to grow a lot in terms of competencies. So when I recruit, there are 3 simple ways that I can check whether the person has the right mindset that really matches my team vision, let's say. The first one is I understand that my team have different needs, in particular with regards to data exploration. Sometimes, well, most of the time, doesn't match Scrum framework, for example. So the data product manager is able to change the ceremonies depending on the team that they are leading and their particular necessities. Then the product mindset, I'm able to recognize the value. I'm able to sell just the project about adding an attribute within the systems. And it's not sexy, but still you as a product manager are able to sell it. And it's not AI, but still it brings a lot of value. And then the end, understanding the impact. So when you create an indicator, what is the real impact on teams and what are you trying to monitor? So for example, I've heard in the past some people create indicators to monitor the performance of a team without letting this team know, which is actually in terms of HR quite hard than when you see that actually you have been monitored the whole time and you didn't know. So yeah, so really understanding the operational impact is something that is important as well. So in terms of growth, in the long run, I see 3 perspectives. So that is also why I'm really passionate about this job, is that I really find a lot of ways to learn. The first thing is the agility part. So there has been a release of a framework that is called Anfix, but Jorgen Appelo, which is really interesting because it focuses on creating networks within your organization, which is a transversal approach that is really different from SAFe, for example, and really interesting for data people. Then in product, being able to create very complex visions, and in data, the capacity to never lose sight on expertise. So data environments are so difficult and different that there is always something to learn from a person that is more expert than you are. So basically, the key here is that know that you know nothing and always challenge your capacity to learn, basically. So in order to prepare for this conference, I created an article that contains basically the job descriptions and maturity metrics of a data product manager. So if you want to know more, the article contains also a Miro board, because I love Miro, that contains the whole competence matrix that you can find as a data product manager. So it focuses also on organization, so agility, data and product. So with that, I think it's quite extensive, but if you have some feedback, I would be really happy to discuss that as well.